What's up? This is Casey with another episode of the show I don't have a name for. Today's sweatshirt of the day is this sweet Uniqlo hoodie with a nice chest pocket, perfect for cell phones, pens, Nicorette, chapstick, all those important things. It's a beautiful spring day here in South Korea, but I've been inside kind of binge watching this program where this guy talks to neo Nazis and anti Jewish people, uh, just at different rallies and at Comic Con and, all over. Uh, I've always found racism or even just being divided about something very fascinating. My family isn't racist, I believe. Um, I've always found it really interesting how angry people get, about, you know, you don't put mustard on hot dogs. You only put ketchup on hot dogs. Or, you don't, the third meal of the day is called supper. It's not called dinner. I don't give a shit about either one of those things or about which one you do. I know there are people who do get really angry about that. If you want a quick history about me, uh, I grew up in the United States. I grew up in North Dakota. I don't have any family in North Dakota. That's just where we lived and grew up. So it was just my mom, dad, two brothers, and me. My grandparents and most of my family are all on the west coast of the United States. North Dakota isn't necessarily the most diverse state. I don't know where they are on that, but um, just to give you a quick uh, spectrum, I didn't really see a black person up close until I was like 10 or like 11 or so. So that was when, I don't know how well you can see this, the Harlem Globetrotters came to my school. And Harlem Globetrotters are a basketball team, and they're kind of like a traveling circus basketball team. They do tricks and they're funny and everything. And I didn't know who the hell they were. And this is kind of a triple whammy because first, I'd never really seen a black person. I'd never really seen somebody taller than my dad. And they came to our school to talk about drugs. It was a quadruple whammy. And they called me up to talk to me about drugs. So I was like in front of the classroom and they were like, Casey, what would you do if one of your friends was on drugs? And I was like, you know, it's just a lot of brain stuff going on. I didn't know all this stuff. And then I got to go see the show, which was really, really fun. Um, Fast forward, I went to Catholic high school. There, we were never taught to hate anybody. We were taught to hate gay people or hate Jewish people. I'm pretty sure we had some Jewish people. I'm positive we had some gay people there. I don't think we were taught to give any care about that. I know that we were taught to hate abortion, but by then I didn't give a shit, and I really pushed back as hard as I could on that. Um, so uh, I've been pro-choice since I was about 15 years old, even though I wasn't having any sex. Anyway, um, I have a couple things to admit that will hopefully, probably never get me a job or get me elected, but into any office, even though I don't think I'll run for office. But I'm going to try to explain them right now. So when I was 16 or 17, I had this religion teacher. So I went to Catholic high school. I had a religion teacher, and she and I just fought it out all the time because I liked heavy metal and I liked punk rock and blah blah blah. And I thought pro-choice was the way to go. And I don't know what we were arguing about today, but whatever it was, something came out of my mouth that is revolting. And I said Hitler was a good leader. He did get the economy running, he did get the trains running on time. And I think the big but here is, you know, obviously he was a horrible leader. You know, he got the trains running on time, but, you know, he killed millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. So I did say one of the most horrible things you could possibly say. There's just a huge but behind it. Also, like I said, I was really into punk rock, and I was interested in the Nazis, not because I wanted to be a Nazi, but I just thought that it was uh, just a fascinating, how could all these people listen to this stuff? But I thought, punk rock was so cool, and there's always been a weird dynamic between the two. So I wanted to start a punk band, and also when you're 14, 15, 16, you're always drawing in your notebooks. So I used to draw this a lot. And, if I ever started a punk band, I thought this would be a cool sign to have. Sometimes bands have their own logos and stuff. And this would be my band's sign. It didn't take until one of my brothers looked into my notebook and he said, "Casey, are you a Nazi now?" And that wasn't the point. The point was this was supposed to be an anarchy sign mixed with Nazis. I don't know what the whole point of my stupid sign was, but it wasn't to be a Nazi. Okay? There, I got those two things off my chest. I'm going to crumple this up. Hope, even though I'm putting this on the internet, I hope that's explained for the rest of my life. Honestly, it took me a long time to remember how to draw that stupid sign, and I don't think I've thought about it, for 25 years. So, blah, blah, blah. I grew up in North Dakota. Like I said, there's not a lot of diversity, but there is, I would say, a good chunk of racism. I didn't experience that much of it because, I don't know, but I was on a swimming team and it was an away meet. So we all went, after the meet, we went to eat at a Chinese restaurant. And one of the guys got sick at this Chinese restaurant. And I think he threw up, during the bus ride home or at the restaurant, whatever it was. And he just, during the entire ride home, said, every single racial slur you can imagine about, Chinese people, Asian people, and he was like an encyclopedia about racial slurs and, every single country out there in Asia. I'm sure he even made some up on the way. And, again, maybe this is another thing that won't get me elected into office or will get me booted out of the country. But, we kind of just sat there and laughed because, this kid was, throwing up and saying horrible words. But that was one of my first true, real experiences with racism, I think. A funny thing is, I see on Facebook now that he's married to an Asian girl. I wonder if she knows that little story or his history. The next big experience I have with race isn't really a horrible one like that, but when I was in university, I worked construction, and I worked with a super nice old black dude named Cleo. And we were on a lunch break, and we just kind of kicked back, and we were eating these sandwiches or whatever, and he was just like, "Casey, what's the deal with white people and mayonnaise?" And it just kind of was like a ton of bricks on me, because I thought, what are you talking about? Like, my family doesn't eat mayonnaise. Like, the only time my family really eats mayonnaise is when my mom makes artichokes. but that's like twice a year. We probably have the same jar of mayonnaise from 3 years ago, and it was kind of a eye-popping moment. You know, is this what black people go through every day? Like, why do black people do this? Why do black people do that? You know, something as silly as why do white people like mayonnaise, really opened my eyes to, you know, why do people do this? Um, I wasn't necessarily offended. It was just like I said, eye-opening. Um, then I moved to New York City, uh, which is a, you've got every single race there, but also don't even bother hiding it. You also have every single type of racist there. Uh, I remember, I mean, they didn't have to be there for an hour to experience some of that. I remember being in the taxi cab and the cab driver was like, "Oh, you're gonna go to NYU? More like NYJew." And I was like, "What?" I think I'd met two Jewish people in my entire life, but I didn't realize, people actually didn't like them. Uh, I My first tattoo before all these guys was just Darth Vader. And so when I was 21, I worked at a blog, and like one of the things I had to do was work at a like a bartender. And for whatever reasons, I was wearing shorts, maybe because it was hot in the blog office or whatever. And this guy saw my Darth Vader tattoo and he was like, "Right on, brother." And he pulled his lip down and it said skinhead on it. And I just kind of looked at him like, "You have got to be kidding me. I've got a Star Wars tattoo. You're a fucking KKK member, you know?" Like, we are not the same. Um, so I just, it's, New York is a wonderful place, but it is definitely not perfect. Blah, blah, blah. I moved to Korea. People see me here. Koreans are also not perfect and not innocent in being racist. They see my short hair, all the tattoos, and we say they say big size. Um, and sometimes they think I'm a military guy, which sometimes don't have they might not have the best connotations. Usually they know I'm an American just by the way I talk. But also, sometimes the way I look, the way I talk, they wonder, can this guy work around children? I've been working around children most of my entire life. Uh, you know, this guy's got scars all over his face. He wears a Star Wars t-shirt or Deadpool t-shirt. You know, is this guy really smart enough to work at a university? I've been doing it for 7 years now. Um, so I've experienced racism here as well. One of the more eye-popping ones, I was at one of my first apartments here in Korea. I used to just walk from the bus station home, and all the time there was this college girl, and she passed out flyers for this bar, and it was like, "Come in on Monday, it's buy one get one free. Come in on Tuesday, it's girls' night. Come in on Wednesday, it's whatever night." And that was just her job. But she was also a student, so she wanted to practice her English, and she wanted help with her homework, or she wanted to say, "Is this how I pronounce this word?" Stuff like that. And she was really nice, and I took time out of my day or my night to help her out because I'm such a nice guy. And I I would help her out sometimes, or maybe we would go out for coffee after her shift or whatever the hell, you know. Uh, but this particular night, it must have been, I don't know, some drinking fest for Korean dudes, because there was a guy drunk, passed out over here. There was a guy over here throwing up. There was a guy taking a piss on a car over here. But here I am, you know, just coming off of my shift working at a school or a university. And I'm, you know, kind of helping out with her homework. And there's just another drunk Korean man, you know, just kind of looking at me. And he's just saying, loud enough for me to hear, Nabun Wegukin, Nabun Wegukin, which just kind of means, you know, dirty, disgusting foreigner. Dirty, disgusting foreigner. Well, my Korean's not perfect, but, you know, I could just read the body language. You know, this guy didn't want me there. He didn't want me poisoning the race of having sex with this girl. You know, she was way too young for me in the first place. You know, I don't cry myself to sleep over one drunk Korean dude. So those are just some of my experiences. Uh, I don't have enough free time in my life to give a shit about somebody's stupid book or stupid religion that tells you not to like somebody because of their skin color or their religion. I was brought up in one religion. I don't necessarily follow it. If you follow a religion, I don't really care as long as your religion doesn't bother anybody else or me. I think one of the most brilliant lines I've ever heard about relationships is I don't really care what color. It's like Powerade. I don't really care what color they are. As long as I have one. So that's kind of my take on the deal. As long as I have one. So, um, I hope you know you've learned something. You've laughed a bit. I really hope we can solve whatever racist stuff is going on in this world. I I don't know if I've just been blind and stupid and just haven't seen a lot of this racist stuff. I hope it goes away. Uh, every time I turn on the TV and see this hatred of anybody from Jews to Chinese folks to Muslims, it just makes me sick. You know, that's not what any of our faith leaders wanted. You know, and if that's what you believe in, you know, move to an island somewhere and don't breed. Okay, that's enough prophesizing and politicizing for me. Have a wonderful day. I hope you're doing well with coronavirus and everything. Like my videos and share my videos. Uh, Comment and tell me if you want me to talk about anything else. Yeah. Thanks for watching. You're the best.